Hello, everybody. I want to say welcome to another book review with me, but I don't have a book to review today. But I thought to make a video nonetheless, and I thought to talk about reading across genres. I find that a lot of us, when we read, we limit ourselves to a certain set of genres. I know that some people just love to read self-help books and they are stuck in that genre. So for some people, it's only fictional books, it's only romance or adventure or sci-fi or horrors or thrillers. But there's such a world of genres to learn from. For me, I'll share an example of my journey, but just for some of us who really don't know what different genres we have, I'll just give a brief insight on the different types of genres we have for literature. Now, we have two basic genres. We have the non-fiction and we have fiction. So there's several subdivisions under non-fiction and several subdivisions under fiction. So for fiction, for instance, we have things that we have different subgenres under fiction, like you have the adventure, we have the sci-fi, that's science fiction, we even have science fantasy, we have the fantasy, that's another group, fantasy books where you can have some of the series under fantasy books. Then we have, I think I've mentioned romance, I've mentioned horror, I've mentioned thrillers. Those are some examples under fiction books. And there's so many others under it that I failed to mention here. And then under non-fiction, we have self-help books. And self-help books can also be in different categories. We can have finance, we can have spiritual, we have psychosocial, the genre. I mean, there's so many under that genre of self-help books under non-fictional books. Then we have the biographies, the autobiographies, the memoirs, the history. And another thing I failed to mention, under fictional stories, we also have historical fiction and the likes and all of that. And then we also have classics. Classics can be in any genre. It can be non-fiction, it can be non-fiction. And classical books are books that have, they have been phenomena and they've been around for over a decade or several decades, actually. So those are, in a nutshell, the different types of genres we have for books. So some of us, like I said, are used to just one certain genre. For example, for me, when I started off as a young child reading, apart from academic books, it was mainly, fiction. You're reading novels, reading stories, reading storybooks, and then novels. And then as I advanced in age in secondary school, got more into self-help books. Now, this was a challenge, apart from reading my Bible. And I've been thinking about doing a review on the Bible, because some of us also need insight on how to read the Bible, which is also a self-help book on the spiritual growth, and it's one of I think it's the commonest or the most popular book on earth. But we'll talk about the Bible in another series. However, reading the Bible for me, going to read the Bible in different translations, different types, of Bibles that can help you study. And then spiritual books like the Kenneth Hagin books, the Kenneth Copeland books, Gloria Copeland, the Joyce Meyer, all of those God's generals. Then reading, as I grew, reading those books, self-help books, spiritual books. And it was a bit of a challenge transitioning from being used to reading novels to reading self-help books when I was younger. And then right through growing up, and then as an adult, learning to read both fiction and self-help books, and then I would just be yo-yoing in between. But for a long time, I also limited myself to non-fiction books. Yes. And then as I grew older again, I realized, okay, I need to start reading novels again. And I found it very enriching, to expand my genre of reading biography. I enjoy reading biographies. I enjoy reading memoirs. Fantastic. I've learned a lot from learning about other people's lives, their challenges and how they overcame, or the things that, they fell on the wayside from. So that has been really enriching for me. Then reading novels. In recent times, I've learned a lot from reading novels. For instance, reading Dan Brown books. I mean, when he writes, he centers any book he writes on a certain city. And I've lived through cities, enjoyed, food and all of that from reading novels. I've also learned a lot of history from reading novels because some are based on historical fiction. An example is Afonja. I absolutely enjoyed reading Afonja because then it helped me to understand some history about Yoruba history, and then it made me want to go more and read the actual history outside of historical fiction. Yeah, so reading across genres will really, really enrich you. Aside your vocabulary, it will also, from what I learned with reading fiction, is it helps you to be more empathetic. I mean, it helps you to see life through the eyes of other people, even though it's fiction. In fact, I've learned financial secrets from reading fictional stories. So please, this is a call out to you to expand your genre. Read self-help books, read fictional books, read historical books, read psychological books. They all will help you to be a better person and will enrich you. So, what are you reading? Are you reading something new? Are you learning anything new? Till I see you again, keep reading and keep learning something new. God bless.